Imagine being the lead detective in the LAPD investigating art theft and real estate fraud, only to find yourself being interrogated for a murder. This was the case of former LAPD detective Stephanie Lazarus, who was convicted after 23 years. What you're about to see is an unfortunate tale of secrets, betrayal, and twisted love triangle, which compelled a police officer/lover to kill. To understand the craziness of the case, we have to take you back 20 years from the arrest and 4 to 8 years back from the murder, which would be the undergraduate years of John Rutten and Stephanie Lazarus. They were friends and avid athletes who would hang out and playfully tease each other. Lazarus used to steal Rutten's clothes when he showered and took photographs of him while he slept. Now, while that sounds like casual flirting, Rutten considered their relationship as quote-unquote fooling around. They even had sex for the first time after they graduated. He got a job at a hard drive manufacturer, and she joined the academy to become a uniformed LAPD officer. Rutten was sure that Stephanie was never his girlfriend, and he later met Sherry Rasmussen, a director of nursing at Glendale Adventist Medical Center. And when we say met, we mean they got seriously involved. Lazarus did not like that, and even wrote to Rutten's mother in 1985, quote, "I wish it didn't end the way it did, and I don't think I'll ever understand his decision." In her personal journal, she had penned one day that, quote, "I really don't feel like working. I found out that John's getting married." Now John was in between a love triangle. Rasmussen, who he was engaged with, and Lazarus, who loved him. And while it seems like an obvious choice for John, he had somewhat feelings for Lazarus. She used to make unscheduled stops at Rutten's house, which made his fiancée uncomfortable. One time, she brought her skis to the apartment that Rutten shared with Rasmussen and asked him to wax them. And despite Rasmussen's objection, he still did it. Rasmussen knew about the two and wondered whether their relationship was truly over or not. She even told Lazarus to stop coming by. But one day, according to Nels Rasmussen, Sherry's father, Lazarus visited her at work to tell her that things are not over between the two. According to him, Lazarus said, and I'm quoting, "If I can't have John, no one else will." Her father was the first to know that something was fishy because she also confessed her fear that Lazarus was stalking her on the street. Keep in mind, she's a uniformed officer now, so the fear further intensifies. But alas, Rutten and Rasmussen got married in November of 1985. And now we come to the chilling events of February 24th, 1986. The couple were living in a condo on Balboa Boulevard in Van Nuys. And on that morning, Rutten left for work, and Rasmussen was scheduled to give a speech at work, but to avoid it, she called in sick using a back injury as an excuse. Around 9:45 a.m., a neighbor noticed that the house's garage door was open and that there was no car inside. When Rutten was informed, he made several calls to home, all of which went unanswered. Rasmussen's sister also called, but again, no one picked up. Around 12:30 p.m., a maid at a nearby place said she heard something that sounded like two people fighting, and one loud sound indicating that one might have fallen. Rutten returned home that evening, and he also saw the garage door open and realized his BMW was missing. Rutten found it strange that Rasmussen would leave the house without informing him or calling, but it turns out she didn't. Inside the house, Rutten found Rasmussen's body dead on the living room floor. She was shot 3 times, and there were signs of a struggle. The investigators arrived, and some key findings included the following. 1. Rasmussen had defensive wounds, bruises on her face, and a bite mark on her arm. 2. Rasmussen's attire was a bathrobe, nightgown, and underwear, suggesting that she wasn't expecting anyone. 3. There was a bloody handprint next to the burglar alarm's panic button. And number 4, the car was missing. The detectives concluded that Rasmussen had been surprised and killed by a burglar. The lead detective ruled out the grieving Rutten as a suspect, but Nels Rasmussen and his wife Loretta told them about Lazarus's harassment. Regardless, the police focused on the possibility of burglary despite being told about Lazarus. After all, it's possible to the officers it was LAPD officer Lazarus, so it's possible that they intentionally did not go down that road and instead ruled it as a burglary. Rasmussen's family complained that the detectives were often unhelpful. In fact, a year later, when Nels wrote to the chief of the LAPD about the possibility of Lazarus being involved, the detective told him he, quote, watched too much television. When new detectives were assigned the case, they claimed they were unable to follow up and did not think any new leads would emerge. During this time, Lazarus continued working with the LAPD, started her own private investigation firm, earned medals, became a detective herself, moved back to Simi Valley, California, became an instructor at the police academy, and was married to a fellow officer. All while the Rasmussen family kept demanding justice. Now we come to the year 2009. Lazarus was working as a higher-level detective, and the crime rate in Los Angeles had declined enough that the detectives combed through cold cases to increase their clearance rates. Two detectives, Jim Nuttall and Pete Barba, found the Rasmussen file and decided to pursue it, despite it being a 23-year-old case. They were convinced that the case was murder and not burglary after they reviewed three important facts. Number one, Rasmussen's jewelry box wasn't taken nor touched despite being in plain view. Number two, the house was in the middle of a gated community where burglars can be easily observed. And number three, according to the file, the struggle between Rasmussen and her attacker began upstairs and then continued downstairs. At the top of the stairs was a stack of stereo equipment, which technically should have been knocked over during their struggle. This was no longer a burglary, as it was proven that this was premeditated. The attacker planned the kill. And who knows better to stage a crime scene than someone who sees one every single day? A police officer, that's who. Nuttall and Barba realized that Lazarus is a big-time detective, so they had to tread lightly and make sure that they had undeniable evidence pointing at her. They ranked Lazarus as the least promising of the 5 suspects, but they soon eliminated everyone except her. Now you have to understand what a risky situation Detectives Nuttall and Barba were in. They were going after a high-ranking detective whose husband worked in the commercial crimes division as a detective. They both had a network of friends who could easily tip her off about the case that Nuttall and Barba were up to. The kill was done with a .38 gun, and back then, most LAPD officers used it as their backup or off-duty carry gun. The record showed that she owned a Smith & Wesson Model 4938 at the time, but the weapon was reported stolen to Santa Monica police 13 days after the murder. Now that the weapon can't be traced back to her, there's only one thing that's concrete enough to bring her down: DNA evidence. For that, they needed a warrant, and the minute they requested something like that, the entire LAPD would stand against them. So the detectives discreetly reached out to their superiors and shared their plans of collecting a voluntarily discarded DNA sample from her. While Lazarus was off-duty running errands, she discarded a cup from which she was drinking. The police officers retrieved the cup, the sample was taken, and it matched the DNA from the bite mark on Sherry Rasmussen. Now that they had concrete proof of Lazarus as the murderer, the arrest plan was made and shared with all superiors, even the chief of police. The case was immediately transferred to the Robbery Homicide Division because of their lack of personal connection to Lazarus. In June of 2009, dozens of officers arose before dawn, and they were briefed on a search warrant to search Lazarus's home in Simi Valley. But before they could just storm her house, they planned to get her out first. Detectives Greg Stearns and Dan Jaramillo called Lazarus from the lockup at Parker Center, the department's headquarters. They chose this place because to enter here, Lazarus would have to give up her gun and equipment in order to enter, which limits her possibility to resist violently. After she checked in and entered the interrogation room, they explained that this was really about some loose ends that they were trying to tie up with the Rasmussen case. Again, they didn't tell her she was being interrogated because she could use her right to remain silent from sharing any details. They tell her that there are some questions about an art thief case she had for which they needed to talk. But we all know that the case of Rasmussen is the real topic of discussion here.
I don't want to talk about this in the squadron because I don't know who people are listening. And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is doing.
No problem.
Okay, but like we're talking about being busy and stuff, we've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutten?
John Rutten?
Rutten.
Oh, yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, let's see, went to UCLA in 1978 I started, and, met him at school at the dorms.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's a case we're working on, and it involves John, and in there, some of the statements we reviewed, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we were good friends, I lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, well, are you guys? Is this something? I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art, and how you guys are.
Here's
I mean,
Stephanie, here's the situation. It's basically we knew that this when we saw this in this chrono that maybe there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting supplies.
Okay. I mean,
so we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this because we thought it might be, something, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you may not want to, talk about these things in that setting where someone, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff to start.
That's fine. I mean,
so we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just a confidential place where where your business isn't out there for other people in your division to know about.
God, that's been a million years ago. I mean,
23 years, to be exact. Notice how she's asked twice, what is this about? Because the minute the detectives bring up John Rutten and Sherry Rasmussen, she gets defensive. Luckily, the detectives calm her down by telling her that this was done to protect her privacy. This gives her ease to share more about her involvement with the two.
Teaching DARE, because I met Scott when I was teaching DARE up in Oregon, but we had long stopped, dating before that.
So you haven't talked to him for a long time?
Oh, I think I haven't talked to him in a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I talked to him. I met Scott, I'm thinking in 92 maybe, April of 92.
Scott being your husband.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was teaching DARE. Let's see, what year is this? We'll be married. I got married in 1996. I think I met Scott in 92. Prior to that, I couldn't tell you how long I had talked to John prior to that.
But since you met your husband, Scott, you hadn't talked to him?
I mean, he may have called me once or twice before we got married.
Right.
Geez, I moved to Simi in 1994 because I lost my house in the earthquake.
Oh, really?
Quite honestly, I probably keep in contact with a few people from the dorms. We all lived on the 10th floor, and there's about 3 or 4 people I keep in contact with. There's probably like 6 or 8 of us that were all really close.
Mm-hmm. And who are those people?
Oh, geez, Diana Basta. The people I still keep. I haven't been in contact with her in a long time. I mean, what's this all about? I mean.
Well, let me ask. What ended the relationship between you and John?
It was kind of a weird relationship. I mean, we dated. I can't say that he was my boyfriend. I don't know that he would consider me his girlfriend. We dated. We did things. I played sports in college. He played basketball. His brother played basketball. It just didn't work out. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It was like I went out with other guys, saw other guys. I went on lots of vacations.
And once you guys lit, were you guys still friends, or kind of,
I
problems? Is it friendly, not friendly?
No, I don't think it was not friendly. I mean, we were friendly. I know that we went to Hawaii at one point. Another friend of mine who's actually dying right now went to Hawaii with us at some point.
Remember roughly when that was?
Geez, let me think. I'd have to check my pictures. Or I'd say I'd ask Greg, but my friend Greg is like dying of liver cancer right now. Yeah, I mean,
And you were saying that
It's 2009 now.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse. And I can't remember how he said he met her. Yeah, I mean, it's been so long ago.
Well, let me ask you, did you go to their wedding, you know?
No, I didn't go to their wedding. No, I did not go to their wedding. I didn't even tell you what year he got married.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, it's been a million years ago.
Do you ever remember if you ever talked to her? Because it seems like a lot of you who were at the school at UCLA, you guys kind of were friends during and after school, so I don't know if you guys still associated afterwards once he was married or anything.
With him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, the people that were on the dorm floor, we'd have get-togethers. There's probably like 4 or 5. I don't think he ever came. I don't think. No, it was mostly girls. You know, a girl named Smita, Diane. There's 2 Dianes, but the one Diane, I don't think she ever came. I kind of lost contact with her. We were good friends on the floor. Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, again, I mean, what, you know, I don't understand why you're talking about some guy I dated a million years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work. I'm sure I spoke to him about it. I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez. Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work. I think at one point there may have been a flyer or something. I know a good friend of his.
Were you on the job back then when that happened?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure I was on the job. That's why I would have heard about it with the flyer. He had a good friend, Mike Boldrick. Anyways, he may have lived in the dorms. I don't remember if that's how I met him. I may have talked to him. I mean, you know, I don't remember how I heard. I mean, I don't even remember what year it was.
And you think you said you thought his wife was a nurse. Do you have any idea where she was working at the time, or did he ever mention that to you? Was it a hospital or a doctor's office?
I'm sure he must have mentioned it. Now that you're bringing that up, I think she worked at a hospital somewhere. And yeah, I may have met her at a hospital. I may have talked to her once or twice.
At a hospital?
Or more.
Given that this is a 23-year-old case, the detective asked her for bits of information as a sort of memory jog. At one point, she was denying ever meeting Rasmussen, but she now claims to have met her at a hospital. She's a bit shaky in the questions specifically about her and Rutten, so the detectives bounce around different people in her story, especially when she asks what's all this about.
You know.
But being that you're you used to see John, you know, was everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, uncomfortable. I mean, I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. You know, geez, how many years ago was that? I don't even know what year she, you know, got killed.
Where was his apartment?
On Roscoe.
Okay.
Yeah, Roscoe and east or west of DeSoto. Either east or west of DeSoto.
Do you know where he moved after? Did he move after he got married, or do you know? Or
I'm sure he did.
Did you know where he was living, or
somewhere in the valley?
Did you ever visit him and his wife?
No.
No, never went out to, you know, get together, dinners, anything of that nature?
No. Like I said, his sister used to come over. His sister had come to my place. I knew his brother because his brother played basketball at Northridge. In fact, I was just coming across some pictures that I had just scanned from. I take a lot of photos, like 10,000, and I just did a service where I scanned everything. And I'd seen some pictures of his brother playing basketball.
You just put them all on your computer so you could have them accessible and do things with them?
Well, my partner is a big photo thing, and he had a deal to scan. So I spent a ton of time just scanning photos. I mean, I paid a company to do it. So I've got photos of, his brother, his sister, you know.
10,000 pictures?
Oh, yeah.
How long did that take them?
Months.
Now, what do they put that on a? I'm just curious myself. Do they put it on a? They get that all on one DVD? They don't need like a hard drive or anything?
No. There's like I think 11 DVDs. Yeah, I don't even have time.
It's a series of DVDs that they put them on?
Oh yeah.
Oh okay.
Yeah, I'm
not that familiar with computer stuff, so that's why I was asking.
It's like 11 DVDs.
Oh okay.
So, you know, I haven't had a chance to go through them. You could go through and pick which ones you don't want. I don't have time to do that.
Right.
You know, so like you said, did I, you know, I don't think we ever socialized. You know, he'd still call me. I can't say that I would. If he's married, I don't know that I would have called him. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's been a million years ago.
Well, how long was John married before his wife died?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
And, after his wife died, did you talk to him again or anything?
Yeah, I did talk to him. I talked to him, probably his parents, probably some other friends. You know, I'm sure I talked to him.
Yeah.
But you're not sure where he moved to after he got married?
No idea. I mean,
Never went over to visit him or
I don't think.
meet
I mean,
his
I
wife,
don't
or-
think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I did. I mean, I know he lived on Roscoe for a long, long time. I mean, I may know. I mean, he may have told me where they lived, somewhere in the valley. I mean, he may have said I lived over such and such, but I couldn't tell you specifically where.
But you don't remember specifically ever going over to visit him or visit them at wherever he moved when he left Roscoe?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't think so, but
Okay.
you know, I don't want to say no, I don't think so, and then he says, oh yeah, she came over for something, dropped something off. You know, I don't know.
So if you did go over there, just be like a quick thing, like you're saying, drop something off, or
Maybe.
But you don't remember as far as like going there to have dinner or like a social, anything at the house, party?
Well, if you guys know something, I can't, I don't know. I don't think so.
After John's wife died, you said you may have been talking to him. Did your relationship start up again?
I would say no. Again, can you give me a year? I mean, this is like 2009.
She died in 1986?
yeah, I think it was 86.
1986.
Okay, like I said, I'm faintly remembering that I went to Hawaii with my friend Greg. Greg and I got certified for scuba diving, and I'm thinking that John met us there, meaning Greg and I. That could have been, I got certified toward the end of 88, or I mean, 88, 89, because I got recertified again, and it had been like over 10 years, so I got recertified. My husband and I got recertified, and I'm pretty sure that John met us there. Again, I'd have to tell you what year it was, I'd have to look at my pictures. You know, and other than that, I can't even say. He may have called me, you know, at my home. I may have called him. I don't think he got together with our group.
You don't think after his wife's death?
Or even before, I don't. You know, we went to weddings together. You know,
Did you?
I got pictures. Like I said, I couldn't tell you years. It's been a million years ago.
The pictures are a good lead that can prove just how close she was with Rutten and Rasmussen. Let's not forget, while she's rambling in here, there's already a search warrant issued. So basically, this interrogation is giving the detectives more leads to explore Lazarus. After she talks about her scuba diving certification and trip to Hawaii, where she ran into John sometimes, they get into the specifics of Rasmussen's death.
You know, I don't know what to tell you on that.
I mean, when you heard about John's wife being killed, I mean, what was your reaction? I mean, you thought you heard about it, through a friend or in a bulletin or
Either
something?
a friend or a bulletin. I called the family. I called maybe some of his friends that I knew, and I mean, obviously it shocked you if I heard it at work, you know, which I may have. I faintly remember a bulletin going around, either that or somebody called me. I honestly don't remember.
Right.
And then I probably called his family, I don't know initially, I can't say if I initially spoke to him or not. I honestly don't remember. I may have said to somebody, hey, have him call me if he wants to talk, and then he may have done that. You know,
Do you know what the circumstances were regarding her death?
Geez, let me think back. I don't know if it was, you know, if it was a burglary or something. Yeah, it's been so many years. I can faintly think that I may have saw a flyer.
Yeah.
May have had her picture on it. You know, that's why I say, if somebody had called me, I may not have known what her last name was. Maybe if you told me, I would remember it.
Do you remember the first name?
Shelley, Sherry, I don't know, something maybe, you know, like I said, it's been so many years, and
From all the years, as far as you can remember, do you remember ever talking to her?
Well, I said earlier, you know, I mean, I may have, you know, I may have talked to her. You know.
You mentioned a hospital, maybe. You may have talked to her at a hospital.
Yeah, I may have. You know, I'm thinking back now. You guys are bringing up all these whole memories.
No, it kind of dusts off the cobwebs.
You know, I mean, geez. I'm thinking that because, I mean, we would date. He would date other people. I would date other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, at one point, I mean, he may have been dating her, or I don't know, maybe he was married. I don't even remember. And I'm like, you know what? Why are you calling me if you're either dating her or living with her or married to her. Because I honestly don't remember the time frame. And I'm like, oh, come on, knock it off. And now I'm thinking I may have gone to her and say, hey, you know what? Is he dating you? He's bothering me. And so I'm thinking that we had a conversation about that. One or two, maybe. It could have been three. I don't want to say I had 3 conversations with her.
Like at her work or at their house or.
No, I'm thinking that he obviously must have told me where she worked. I'm thinking it was a hospital somewhere in L.A. And I could have been, again, what year was that? Where was I working? I'm trying to think of when did you say they got married?
I don't know. I think it was like in 85 or 86 or something like that. We just kind of picked this up. We don't know a lot about it.
I could have been working in Hollywood, it sounds like, if that's where I was working. So I could have said, okay, well, and I went and talked to her and just said, hey, you know what, if he's dating you, he's keeps calling me, why don't you tell him to knock it off or whatever? And because I probably would have told him to knock it off.
You would have told John.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would have said, hey, and again.
But you wanted to tell her too? You wanted them both to know?
Yeah, if you're getting her called, and I'm faintly remembering when Scott moved in with me in 1993, sometime in 93, because I met Scott in April of 92. I was teaching DARE up in Oregon. And
it's interesting how she turns the narrative the other way around. She claimed that Rutten went after her, and that Rasmussen told her to back off. While she's right about the latter, she's wrong about who went after whom. Anyways, she rambles on about the timeline, whether it was 93 or 94. But after that, they get closer to the topic of burglary.
Let me ask you, did the detectives ever reach out to you?
No one's ever talked to me. I don't think anybody ever talked to me about him.
It seems like back then you would have been...
Well, I'm thinking that I did talk to a detective. Well, what division was it?
In Van Nuys?
And where was I working?
1986?
I would have been working in Devonshire. I'm thinking that I did speak to somebody.
Oh, really?
I couldn't tell you who it was.
Because it doesn't say anything.
It was probably on the phone.
Okay.
Would have been somebody in regards to this, or just...
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't even know if you said a name, if I would remember it. Because I worked Van Nuys for a while.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I worked...
Detectives, patrol?
No, I worked detectives.
Uh-huh.
Now, fast forward this clip to 41 minutes, 13 seconds to 41 minutes and 44 seconds. It's peculiar that no one talked to Lazarus despite the family's pressure. You remember how Rasmussen's father was pushing the officers to talk to her, right? Well, the fact that she faintly recalls talking to someone could mean that that person might have helped her in the cover-up. At this point, it's hard to tell.
But you didn't have any issues with her, right?
No, obviously, if he was dating me and dating her, I probably said, hey, pick or something,
Fair.
back
That's
then.
Fair.
I can't say that we ever screamed or, he was a pretty mellow guy. I think I was pretty mellow. I don't think we had some big, huge blow up to say, why we stopped dating or, and I even think that when I was dating him, I was probably, like I said, I was probably going out with other guys and he was probably going out with other girls.
Right.
I don't know.
Would you remember if she snapped on you and just like, hey man, it's my man, you leave him alone, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff? Would you remember an incident like that? Because that would be like, what?
Well, and maybe that happened. Gosh, it's been so long ago. That's not ringing a bell.
Mm-hmm. Because the times I've seen you around at our office,
I'm crazy.
But you're always kind of like real. You seem kind of bubbly.
Oh, people think I'm really hyper, but I can get upset, and then I forget 5 seconds later, how guys razz you and you go, I've done that in the office, but it's like, people
water
think,
under the bridge.
Yeah, it's like people think I'm crazy, and then they think I'm crazy at home, and I'm a hyper person at work. I enjoy my job. I get excited. I enjoy the job. I've always enjoyed the job.
Well, you got a good gig, so.
This part's actually true. Around the department, her fellow detectives recalled her behavior when angry, and they referred to as spazarus behind her back. So far, she's shared enough info about the past that it's now time for the detectives to come out and tell her the truth.
You know,
No, I
attacking
mean,
her attacking you?
no,
Nothing like that?
no. I mean, that's no,
Nothing.
no, not at all.
Well, on some of the, on this case, you know, it occurred in '86, right? Detectives processed the scene, things of that nature. They did fingerprints and all that stuff. You know, well, you know the standard stuff. I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have.
Well, I don't know about that. I got 26 years on, going on 26.
19, so. But you know, as they processed everything, they did the best they could at that time, and they looked at a lot of people and different things in this case. And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, you know, I got a problem with, you know, with that.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, you know, now you're accusing me of this. Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, do I need to get a lawyer if you're accusing me of this? You know,
you don't have to. I mean, you know, you're here of your own free will. I mean,
no.
you don't,
I know, but
I mean, you know, you're not under arrest. You can walk out.
you
Whenever
can leave
feel
whenever
like.
you like.
Well,
But-
you know, I'm trying to give you some background of, you know, how I knew him, and now you're telling me that somebody's saying that we had this big old fight, and I don't even know what you're talking about, you know, and I don't want to, you know, get in trouble for something that I didn't even do, or you're saying I did something.
Okay.
Yeah, we understand.
I mean, how would you guys like it if the tables were turned on you?
I understand. No.
No, that's what we're telling you. I mean, you're free to go whenever you want. If this makes you uncomfortable and you want to,
Well, now you're starting to make me uncomfortable.
The thing is, I mean, detectives did what they could at that time on the crime scene. Okay, and the burglary thing you're talking about, that is an angle that they looked at. But now we're looking at everything else on the case. Nobody was ever arrested on the case.
I don't know that or not.
Now, what we'd like to do is, obviously you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, you know, gets done on cases nowadays. You know, if we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe, because now,
Yeah, because
now
now,
I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer. I mean,
well,
because I know how this stuff works, okay? Don't get me wrong, you're right, I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like, you know, you're selling these people saying I'm fighting with her, and now it sounds like you're trying to, you know, I've been doing this a long time.
yeah.
We know.
Okay? And now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me.
No,
now
but-
I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and you know it as well as I do, our job is to identify and eliminate
I
suspects.
can't believe this.
So if we ask you to point, give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe. Because I know this,
Well, that's where we're at too. I mean, because right now, from looking at the evidence, it's, you know, it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
that's great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why.
And-
That's crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job,
And-
and I guess I'm going to have to contact somebody. So,
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I
Sure.
mean, I just can't believe it.
I mean, we understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, I mean, we would feel the same way.
I just can't even believe it. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on. That's,
Okay.
All right.
well, thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I recorded that.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
And with a simple request for DNA samples, she left the room. Up until now, everything she shared was her own free will. This wasn't even an official interrogation. But now that they have even more probable cause than before, she's brought back into the room just 2 minutes later to be officially interrogated.
This is absolutely crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay. Okay, Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
All right.
Okay,
This
then.
is crazy.
Okay.
This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
She finally exercises her right to remain silent and leaves the room, making it quite possibly the shortest interrogation ever. But that doesn't matter, as she was then officially under arrest and held in the Los Angeles County Jail. Following her arrest, the Simi Valley police officer teams began searching Lazarus's home and car. Inside her house, they discovered her journal from the mid-1980s, containing numerous mentions of her love for Rutten and her despair over his engagement to Rasmussen. Strikingly, there were no references to her stolen gun. Her computer revealed multiple instances of her searching Rutten's name on the internet during the late 1990s. After her arrest, she was allowed to retire early, and Judge Robert J. Perry set the bail amount at $10 million in cash. Lazarus's attorney, Mark Overland, claimed that the judge lacked a thorough understanding of the case. He moved to have the entire case dismissed, arguing that the initial investigators should have identified Lazarus as a suspect but failed to do so. He pointed out missing elements from the original file, such as interview recordings, Sherry Rasmussen's blood toxicology report, and an alleged failed polygraph test by Rutten. The motion highlighted Nels Rasmussen's belief that Lazarus was a suspect at the time of the murder, and his subsequent efforts to persuade the LAPD to take that theory seriously. Due to this failure, Overland argued that Lazarus's rights to due process had been violated, as the quality of the evidence had degraded over the intervening 23 years. Now, despite the denial of the appeal, Overland moved to challenge the search warrants executed on Lazarus's home, vehicle, and workspaces, seeking to suppress the evidence obtained from them. He claimed that the warrants were based on outdated information and did not sufficiently establish a connection between the search locations and the likelihood of finding evidence. Overland noted that Lazarus did not move to her current residence until 1994, 8 years after the murder, and the warrant affidavit failed to provide a reason why evidence might be found there. This motion was also denied, and the trial officially commenced in 2012. Prosecutors argued that Lazarus's motive for the murder was jealousy over Sherry Rasmussen's relationship with Rutten. In his opening statement, prosecutor Shannon Presby summarized the case as, quote, "A bite, a bullet, a gun barrel, and a broken heart. That's the evidence that will prove to you that defendant Stephanie Lazarus murdered Sherry Rasmussen." A significant moment in the trial was Rutten's testimony, during which he became emotional and tearful multiple times, particularly when recalling his courtship of Rasmussen. He admitted that having a sexual relationship with Lazarus while engaged to his future wife was quote-unquote a mistake. After several days of deliberation in March of 2012, Lazarus, then 52, was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. She is currently serving her sentence at the California Institution for Women in Corona. Taking into account the time served before the trial, she will be eligible for parole in December of 2034. This was how Stephanie Lazarus evaded the repercussions for nearly 23 years. Despite becoming a cold case twice, we're grateful for these two budding detectives for picking it up and putting this monstrous ex-lover behind bars. Thanks for watching.